When you think of Swiss cheese, you probably think of the holes. But Swiss cheese is known for being a very mild, slightly nutty, a little sweet, and a very rich cheese. Now, in my opinion, all of those flavors are very easily replicatable. The holes we can replicate if we want to, you don't have to, but today we're gonna make a vegan Swiss cheese. Now, commonly I make my vegan cheeses using Kappa carrageenan, but today we're gonna be using something that a lot of you have always requested. We're gonna be using some agar-agar. Now, agar-agar is also extracted from a seaweed. It's extracted from a red seaweed. They both have the same type of properties to where if you heat them, they activate, and when it cools, it firms, causing a hard gel, and if you needed to heat it again, it will then remelt. So the agar-agar, along with a combination of a few other ingredients, we should be able to make a very realistic Swiss cheese. Let's get moving. This is one of the last ones in the Vegan Cheese Month. So for this cheese, it's really easy. We're just gonna start with a pea protein milk. I use Ripple. I like the pea protein milk because of its mouthfeel, its thickness. It's very creamy. It has a really nice starting point for a vegan cheese. This is the unsweetened original Ripple. We're gonna start with 2 cups. Add the 2 cups of Ripple to the blender, along with 2 teaspoons olive oil, 1 teaspoon olive brine, 2 teaspoons peanut butter. Now we wanna make sure that we use a very creamy peanut butter for this. Do not use a chunky peanut butter. 2 tablespoons white miso, large pinch of salt, 2 tablespoons nutritional yeast, half teaspoon onion powder, 1 teaspoon lactic acid. Now, as always, if you've watched this show, you've probably heard me say this 100 times. This is lactic acid. Lactic acid does not mean that it is lactose or that it comes from milk. Lactic acid is produced everywhere in nature. It is commonly found in cheese, but this lactic acid is produced by fermenting sugar beets. Completely vegan lactic acid, but it does make it taste very cheesy and dairy-like. It's awesome to have. Now, to give the cheese its stretch, we're gonna be using a tablespoon of tapioca starch and a half teaspoon potato starch. And then lastly, to firm everything up and gel this into a solid cheese, we're gonna add 3 tablespoons of agar-agar. Agar-agar, I don't know how you pronounce it. Agar-agar, 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 I don't know. All we're gonna do is just throw this on a low speed to mix everything together. If you have a very high-powered blender, you put this on a high speed, it's gonna heat it up and activate the agar-agar, which we don't wanna do, or agar-agar. All we wanna do is just mix this. That should be mixed very nicely, and then we should be able to give this a taste and see if it has that Swiss cheese-like taste that we want. Yeah, I'll be honest, it really does taste like Swiss. Hey gang, I wanna tell you a little bit about today's sponsor. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't have the best diet day in and day out, and Ritual is the multivitamin that helps fill in those gaps in your diet. No fillers, colorants, or shady additives, these 2 easy-to-take capsules provide 10 nutrients to support a strong foundation for your health, like vitamin A, D, omega-3, and zinc, that are all difficult for men to get from their diet alone. Now for me, I pretty much just drink coffee in the morning, and I always make sure I have a tall glass of water, and now I'm adding in Ritual with that water. And these work great for me in that scenario because of their delayed release capsule design. It's gentler on an empty stomach. No nausea, no nothing. And they come with this cool mint tab that always keeps the vitamins smelling fresh. Now, Ritual definitely avoids the one-size-fits-all mentality. They make multivitamins for women, 50+, prenatal, postnatal, and a teen vitamin. They're vegan-friendly, sugar-free, non-GMO, gluten-free, and allergen-free. So Ritual is offering 10% off of your first 3 months by heading over to ritual.com/saucestash and using code SAUCESTASH at checkout. So thanks, Ritual, for sponsoring today's video and for the support for helping me start a healthy foundation for my body. So now all we wanna do is just get our mold ready. Now our mold's just gonna be a square flat dish, and we wanna get our holes ready. I'm gonna put some holes in this. I saw this technique over at another blog, and forgive me, but I completely forget the name of the blog. I couldn't find it again. So if you know who started this technique, let me know in the comments down below so that way I can tag them. But essentially all we're gonna do is we're just gonna kind of oil up our dish fairly nice. We wanna make sure that this comes out very easily once it's done. And then I'm just gonna use some chopsticks and make sure that they are nicely oiled. Now these are like plastic chopsticks, so that's gonna make it even easier to remove for the holes. But we're just gonna kind of randomly place the chopsticks in the dish, so that way once the cheese sets, we can pull them out and we'll have our Swiss cheese holes. Now at this point, all we have to do is pour this into a saucepan and continue stirring, heating it up on a medium heat until it reaches exactly 194 degrees Fahrenheit. Once you see it reach 194 degrees Fahrenheit, turn the heat down and allow it to cook for about 5 minutes. Make sure you're constantly stirring and stretching to make sure that it's reached a high temperature all the way throughout. Once it's done simmering, throw it into your mold, place your holes into it, allow it to cool down quite a bit, and then throw it into the refrigerator. It needs to hit 94 degrees Fahrenheit before it starts to set. It rapidly sets, but we're gonna wanna get it to cool down. The longer you can cool uncovered, the more it will dry out and set out. We're gonna let it dry for about 4 or 5 hours. I just messed this up pulling it out of the fridge. It's been a few hours. I'm gonna take out my sticks. So I'm actually gonna be making a sandwich next video that we're gonna be using this Swiss cheese. It is definitely a sandwich that is Swiss cheese worthy. And I mean, this is just looking really cool. Let's see if we can get some slices for this sandwich. This is a firm cheese. And these slices come out great. We didn't get the greatest holes, we didn't get the greatest Swiss cheese holes, but we definitely got a nice sliceable cheese. Now this is firm. This is a really firm cheese.
This is really good.
Tastes like Swiss.
Tastes like Swiss cheese.
I can't wait to throw this onto a sandwich. I'm also gonna show you guys in the next video how this melts, because this is gonna melt phenomenally.